would be scheduled. We'll put it up later.
Yeah.
Recording now. Hello. Oh, brill. Okay. So hi, Tracy. We're joined with Tracy, Shakti Tracy, from the Diamond Heart Network. And we're just going to talk today about how to own your own sexual power and what that means. But a little bit about your background. It'd be good to tell the audience where you've come from, kind of like what your background in training is, and just a little bit about yourself first, just as an introduction.
So yes, I'm Tracy. So I live in the northeast of UK, Whitley Bay, just outside of Newcastle. I've been working in alternative therapies and healing all my adult life, really. I trained like in a massage and aromatherapy after leaving school. But going in energy healing, and at the moment I work with mostly work with shamanic practices and energy and breath work. But I went more into the energy healing, and it came from like a lot of people, more from my own healing needs. So having really bad attacks. And then I went to see an energy healer in Newcastle, and I'd been through doctors, I'd been through hypnotherapy, nothing had worked, and then this energy healer, and it was gone within 3 seconds. It was just like, wow. So so that started my own lifelong journey with healing and different, and then I ended up running women's groups in Newcastle, doing a lot of
you haven't you?
and so creating really strong community connections in Newcastle, and went to train as a shamanic practitioner and breathwork facilitator, and I stuck with them because I found of all the practices I'd learned, those were the ones that created the most transformation fastest. It's like the breath itself had its own intelligence of knowing where to go.
It does.
And as well, it's, I'm giving people, to me as well, it was like a tool of empowerment. It's like we've all got access to the breath. We've all got access.
Yeah, it's just there. It's just there straight away.
I teach it now, and, I still use it myself. But it just does, it's never, the how much I'm still learning, about its potential, and about, I work a lot with conscious connected breathworks, and I love going into those altered states, but actually, using that alongside, the more functional breathworks, and using breathwork to like regulate the nervous system, and, take care of it like daily as well. And also, connect with everybody, it's like your breath to me is like unity consciousness. We're all breathing the same air that the dinosaurs breathing.
And this is a great thing. I mean, there's so many different levels to it, isn't it? The way you use your breath and utilize it can just work on so many different levels for so many different things. Because you're a breathwork facilitator, so you train other people to be breathwork facilitators as well, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So a year-long training program with Breathing Space, so it's and I love that it's a year long. You can do much short ones, but I love that because it's like, it's not just, it's like an initiation with the breath itself, so you make your own personal healing journey with the breath, and there's time to really have that intimacy with the breath and work out, well, so it's not just being a quick facilitator, it's like what unique medicine wants to flow through me with breath. And we've all got different skills, audiences, and everybody's taking it out in their own unique way into the world.
So it's tailored really to people's needs, their individual needs at the end of the day, isn't it? So so I'm curious, how do you use breath work with, because we've got the subject of how to own your own sexual power, but what does that mean to you? How do you use breath work to help that?
So I think a lot of all shamanic practices, and I think of breathwork because of my background, I think of breathwork as shamanic practices. A lot of them are about like, sort of taking back our power, and it might be power that was in this lifetime, might be lost in other lifetimes, but without being in the fullness of our power, we can't really own our place in the world and really fulfill our purpose, or even not like a purpose that is given to us as well, like know our purpose and live it, get to choose our own purpose. So it's all just waiting for somebody else to give us, but that's just giving the power away as well. It's like we're here We've got a
Yeah,
chance to
certainly.
make an impact. And I think, especially as women, maybe as well, we often do give our power away. And,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
because we're trained to be nice, and we're trained maybe not
Yeah,
to
we're conditioned that way.
not to be
Yeah,
too clever, not to be too powerful, it's not, these things aren't as attractive. And
mm.
I'm a really good example of it as well, just like, oh yeah, yeah, just to be like, to be, you know what I mean? And especially I've got, bad patterns of stepping into relationships and doing that and
Yeah,
putting parts of myself, in order to be liked, in order to be loved.
yeah, yeah,
So it's a bit, but it's about so power comes in all sorts of different forms, and it's all like the one energy, really. It's all this one universal source that wants to flow through, that wants to create, wants to manifest, wants to express through. Where these words are part of our power, our words have power.
yeah. Gosh, yeah, yeah,
So the reason I talk about sexual power is not that sexual power is something different from all of our power, but
yeah,
it's the one area that we often have the most fear of, you know.
yeah.
Um,
It's almost a taboo subject in a way, which then creates the fear, isn't it?
yeah, and
Yeah,
we might have been through, where that sexual power has been abused. If we've been through
yeah,
abuse as children,
yeah.
or rape, or in relationships, from men or women. I work with men who've had this power abuse as well, on the
Okay,
children, and or the social woundings, that the lessons that were taught from school about sexuality, about the church, religion, in society. It's got to look a certain way, relationship.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
If you're gay, or you're something, that doesn't fit into the norm, there's still, even today, there's a lot of shame around that, and people are still getting
Yeah,
labeled for it.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, that it's dangerous, and men hold this collective guilt as well about their own, their own sexual power. That there is this sexual,
yeah. They feel like they have to restrain it,
because
and
they
it's,
know that it's been abused, and they're holding
yeah,
this guilt. And often they'll, you get the nice men who will not want to be fully in their masculine power because they're so afraid
yeah,
of the dangers
yeah,
towards women. Um,
yeah. Yeah, no, it's a very unbalanced way of living at the moment, isn't it? Especially when we think of our own sexual power and we haven't harnessed, and we're still living under the conditions of what society supposedly expects of us. And it's gosh, like you say, it's so important, so detrimental to ourselves. It's like we can try and avoid the subject and be like, oh no, I'm comfortable with who I am and what I want in my sexual life or in my personal intimate life, but kind of it's owning up to those dark shadows of ourselves as well, which you talk about, and being conscious of them. So yeah, it'd be interesting to know from yourself, just like a little bit of a kind of insight. How did you come about being able to own your own dark shadows? I mean, what did that feel like? Did that feel quite scary to begin with? Has it been a multitude of a transformation for you? Of course it would have been, but yeah, if
And I
you
think
just,
there's different layers of owning your own dark shadow, because obviously with shadow self as well isn't just bad stuff. It can be like your
yeah,
shadows as
yeah,
well. It can be like, for a lot of people, it can be that you don't want to shine too much, because actually that makes you feel too seen, and too dangerous. And so
yeah,
you'll
yeah,
you'll hide your beauty, you'll hide, how the most amazing things about yourself as well. Um,
yeah,
but it can also be, like you say, the shadow self of owning, um the way that we also, like, may behave badly in relationships, to manipulate, to control, to get what we want. And in some ways we've got to, like, acknowledge that we all manipulate, and to certain extents, because we're all
yeah, certainly, yeah, I
even
agree with
putting
that.
makeup on, or thinking, in some ways that could be a form of manipulation, if you know what I mean. It's like, we're hiding.
Yeah,
It's not necessarily can come from this place of, like, the problem is when we allow these patterns to exist in the background, and we're not conscious that they're going on, and they sometimes can be quite
yeah,
insidious,
yeah,
if that's the word. um
but
and
yeah,
they're known, they're operating us like puppets, and it's like, actually, just to be able to turn to these things and say, like, oh, actually, they're there.
yeah,
And
and that they're okay to be there. They're
we're
not
human,
anything to be denied. It's
human,
to work with it.
yeah, and then we also take our power back. I had a wound in because of the sexual abuse I had as a kid, and then when I
Yeah,
took my dad to court as a teenager and he got prosecuted, I carried a wound in for many years that I was a danger to men. Um,
right.
I
Yeah,
didn't know, so obviously unconsciously for years it was in the unconscious, and I used to just energetically, I mean, when I started taking it down, it was just like I created a wall. I could put myself
yeah,
energetically in a cave so that people couldn't connect to me, but also I couldn't connect to them. But it was keeping them safe, it was keeping them safe from me because I've believed
yeah. You felt you were a danger.
because
Yeah.
it's like if you would willing to destroy your own dad, you could destroy any man, and I still get
Mhm.
aspects of that coming up sometimes. Uh,
Yeah, but you
but
recognise them, I'm
and
sure,
you
straight away.
recognize it's less, and this is one of the reasons, like I say, I sometimes step out of my power when I come into relationships because I want them to, the other person to feel safe, but rather, than staying in my power and making them step up into their power, which is much
Yeah.
safer, healthy relationship. But yeah, but um, so so what was I talking about? So
No, 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 I think you've just come across, really insightful part, of yourself being able to kind of talk about that anyway. But the thing being is we all to an extent will hold something, some experience within ourselves, which then, like you say, gives us that kind of puppetry scenario where we're working from a place of trauma and we
and
don't
yeah.
acknowledge it.
What was I going to say as well is actually as well when I owned that, then that
Yeah,
will also be able to be part of my power, and so then I can use that
yeah,
when I really do need it. And there are times where we do need to be able to flash off those warning signals of like, fuck off, I'm dangerous. You
yeah,
know, if I'm sitting on the metro at night and I see somebody walking along hassling everybody, and I can literally just give them a look. And they don't bother me because I can own that, and I can just be like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? And it's
yeah.
actually these parts of ourselves, they're all still part of
Turning to
our power,
positive.
but we can be in control and we can choose to use them from a point of wisdom, uh,
Mm,
and
yeah,
not using them, like in the
for
shadow.
high value, for a purpose, and that's it. And it's not stepping away from them, is it? It's embracing those parts of ourselves and being proactive with it,
Yeah.
really. And
And
it's a survival, even though you don't want to necessarily say it's a survival mechanism, it is, and it's ingrained in you, and sometimes that's okay. You don't need to shove it to the side because you're working, like you say, from a higher perspective, higher part of wisdom within yourself. Yeah. So when we so just to tell everyone, so you're going to be doing a weekend retreat with Jamie Catto, who I absolutely adore. I've read his book, Insanely Gifted, and it's just incredible. I did a workshop with him years and years ago. And you talk about on that weekend, it's coming up in February, you're going to be doing conscious shadow work to be able to step into your own sexual power.
yeah.
Can you just explain a little bit how that conscious shadow work works and how you use breath in order to connect with those aspects of ourselves?
Well, I'm actually, and it's funny because, like I was saying, the breath can be used for connecting to light and to dark, and I'm actually going to use the breath work to connect to our own inner beloved,
Okay.
our inner divine lover, to allow us to say, well, what does that look like? What does that look like?
Ah,
Because often
yeah,
I say, like, often the relationships what we do attract into a life, um, the reflections of parts of ourselves inside. But what if we connect to that divine lover inside? What does that actually look like?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
How do we treat them? How would they want to treat us? Um
yeah.
want us to connect to, maybe a different relationship that we've had in the past. So, and I'm going to be using the breath work to do that, to sort of flood us with
Okay.
this new energy and this new imprint about how relationships might be, how our dream relationship might be, because actually if we don't know what we truly want or what we're looking for, how can we tell that to the universe? How can we name that? How can we
Yeah.
figure out like, well, what it is I want, and what
Yeah.
I don't want? I would just take the next best thing that comes in and be like, oh, well, this must be the right thing for me. And I'm
But
sure it
not
is
being
on some
conscious of
level,
it
but like
again.
we don't have to crawl out the other side going like, oh, thank you, I'll process them lessons now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
but that's what power as well. It's like coming, it's like knowing ourselves, it's making that journey inwards so that we
Yeah.
can use something outwards. But the shadow work, I'm actually going to be bringing in some mask work for that.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and
And
it's
what
going
does
to
that
be,
involve?
so we're going to be making our own god or goddess masks.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
then so doing a shamanic journey where so it's like masks that reveal.
Yeah.
We put on this mask of light who just shine a bit of light on. So we're going to be doing two journeys with it. It's going to be a mask of two journeys, and we're going to do the journey of um what's the worst of us in relationships? What's the worst thing about ourselves? And this obviously can be, difficult
Can
to
be
look.
quite triggering.
Yeah, yeah, because we've got to like own it, and it's just like, oh, my
Yeah, it's
relationship
like, no,
is
I'm
too
not
much.
really
I
like
thought
that,
it was all them.
surely.
It was all them. And and especially if we have been in relationships where there has been abuse or there has been addiction,
Yeah.
and it is very easy to say, oh, because they are like, obviously, like, have got like such damaging behaviors, and it is very easy to say, oh, it's
Mm,
them. But there was a reason why
yeah.
we're in that relationship as well, and it's even more important that we look at ourselves as well, because then we don't do the
Yeah.
same pattern again. We're like, actually, if we want to say like, I'm not doing that again, we'll have to make this journey inwards and
And
say,
have to make that decision that we're going to own up to our own shit, really, at the end of the day.
it's
And
not victim blaming, it's not anything like that. It's like,
yeah,
I'm taking back my power and I'm not going to be
yeah,
that again. And that's coming from a
yeah,
completely different place. It's not saying, oh, I'm the cause, but it's saying like, okay, I'm taking responsibility now that I'm not doing that again.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think that's definitely key. It's
And
the
then
way to move forward, to step
yeah,
into it, isn't
yeah,
it? You can't be in that denial any longer. Otherwise, you're just going to keep going in the same cycle and be like, oh yeah, no, it's all right.
yeah,
And then wonder, what the heck's gone wrong again, and think, oh, why is this all happening to me? And it's just a lack of responsibility on your own part, as harsh as that sounds, because, time and time again, I've been there,
yeah,
abusive relationships, one after the other. And just like you think you learn your lesson at the time, and then it's like, well, no, you're still avoiding a part of yourself, clearly, because because it's that inner energy, like you said, attracting that outer energy. And when you don't own up to it
yeah.
and literally have a conversation with yourself about it time and time again, then you're just going to be in the same place at the
Oh,
end of the day.
I mean, I left a relationship, I turned very emotionally abusive. There was a lot of addiction, and I did 6 months of
Yeah.
training. Very strong. I thought, right, I'm taking responsibility for myself. I did 6 months of conscious relationship training. I thought, right,
Okay.
now I'm ready for a relationship. And I walked straight back into another one that was probably like even more messy, but it was straight away. It was like,
Mm,
I was like, oh, love bomb, trauma,
yeah. But
bondage.
do you know what?
I was in there, but I still made. And then it was after that I thought, right, no, I'm not, and haven't been involved with anyone for it. This is quite recent as well.
Yeah.
Still be
Yeah.
the past year of just like working and looking at these things, and it was just the next level. This is what I had to work at, but also I think this is like obviously the preparation to
Mm,
sharing all this as well. But
yeah.
the most important lessons I got was actually when I went up to Scotland, and I was shown all the shame that I still held inside of his.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it was like, this is the reason why. And it was, it was a gift. It was hard to say again. It was like the tears,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it was like the
But
hatred
shame is a
that I
massive
held,
thing.
and hatred for myself because of all this.
Yeah.
It was like, you are your own abuser. You are purposely choosing relationships that
Yeah.
will punish you. And
Yeah.
I was,
Yeah.
thinking, oh no, it's because I don't know who to trust and who I don't. And it was like, no, you do, but you're choosing people, energetically.
Yeah. You're in denial of that,
Yeah.
denial of connection to your intuition
So it's by
of that
owning
person.
these shadows, owning, these
Mm,
things, that it was like, actually then we can make the change, and that's why it's just so important. It's like we don't have to be, and I'm more in my sexual power now, being
yeah.
single, not having sex, than
Yeah.
I've been in any of my recent relationships, and also much happier as well. And so
Yeah.
and I think this is the thing as well. We often think that sexual power has to be, it's something to do with you know, just being in a relationship or just having babies or this creation. And it's like,
Yeah.
not, it never belongs to another person. Our power is always something of our own, and we can
Oh
choose
yeah, without a doubt.
how we want to direct it into the world, how we want to use this creative force to flow through us. And, you know, and we get to decide, we're just all just learning, well, what is it? You know,
Mm.
it's like this new, like, say,
And
the rising of the feminine, it's like, well, what is it?
and this is it. Do you know what it is as well? It's that flow state, isn't it? When you say it's power, you know, that can be interpreted as quite a harsh thing, but actually power is more about creativity, about creating for yourself, you know. It's not surrendering to what gets thrown at you, kind of thing. It's like, you know, and that's exactly when you, I'm presuming, which can kind of expand on, but you know, when we're in control of our breath work, or when we allow the breath to take its own pattern within our system, then we're surrendering to the breath almost. There's that transition where you've got that control of the breath to start with, and then you're in the flow of it. And it's the same as, you know, surrender. It's almost like a surrender to the universe, but the ownership of it as well. It's like that quiet, subtle ownership of your own creativity, but
Yeah.
surrendering to what comes
So it's
as well.
become a co-creation, isn't it? It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
we are still in our
Co-creation,
power.
completely.
Yeah, but we're also surrendering to something, and you know, and all of life can be like that. We can, you know, we can manifest
Yeah,
this. Like, actually, what is just my power, or what is, you know, me, or am I just allowing, you know, this energy that wants to flow through, and we're co-creating this together from this place of love, you know. But we've got to
yeah,
feel safe. We've got to feel safe to a certain extent to allow that as well. And this is why we've got
yeah, completely.
this,
Yeah,
because we're all open ourselves to a lot of power by doing that. And
yeah,
so by you know, like, looking at what are our woundings around power, you know, and its misuse and its, you know, abuse,
yeah,
we know that we are actually safe to hold that power. And the world does need, like, you know, what you're doing with the festival at the moment, and really this,
yeah,
you know, that's a massive thing. That's really like, you know, I'm stepping
yeah,
into my power, and I'm going to be creating something. And there's a lot of trust in that.
yeah. Trust in that.
It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah, yeah, completely.
all the things in our, you know, even the Jamie Catt one, it's like, oh, people are actually going to buy this, and you put so much love into it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've just got to take the steps, and knowing that actually even just taking the steps and putting it out there and creating
Mm.
that, you know, you know, we're part of something like big that isn't just about us, it's about being of service,
Oh
it's
yeah.
being from
Co-creation completely.
with love itself. And
Yeah,
that's what sexual energy is. It's just love that wants to flow through us, wants to flow through us for creativity. Um,
yeah, yeah. And it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's like when you're in that kind of that space of allowing that love to flow through you, and you're working from a heart space, you know, you're diminishing the fear aspect. As soon as you're working from your heart and, you know, surrendering to this higher force, and you're co-creating with, like, you are in that space of love. It's just, I mean, for me personally, it's a beautiful process which I found through man and a retreat, that yeah, it's just it's incredible feeling to experience. And don't get me wrong, there's still, like, I'm not in that space entirely. I mean, gosh, that would be, you know, a huge standard to keep up. You know, there's still elements of fear that comes through, but that ownership of my own co-creation with a higher source is just, yeah, it's really profound to experience. And I totally get that. I do, when we're talking about it. Um, but yeah, just I think it's so exciting that the simplicity, and that's not to undermine what you're doing at all, but the simplicity of the breath work is so profound, you know. But you can teach that to people, and it's such a simple process in itself, but it's like, yeah, it just takes on leaps and bounds of how it really changes your personality. Not but doesn't change your personality, but the way you operate in life, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
And
We,
yeah,
because I've just seen it myself so much, you know, and it's like, because I've
yeah,
always struggled with like quite low self-esteem, and you know, work, you know how before lockdown, I was never even able to go on anybody else's Zoom meeting. And then,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's like I knew I had to step up, you know, and I knew I had to,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, and I had to take my workshops online. And you know, now I'm leading all my workshops online. I'm teaching online. I'm
Yeah, you're doing so much.
I'm doing, you know what I mean? And you wouldn't believe it. But I remember actually just getting videoed of somebody for an interview just before lockdown happened. And I was
Yeah,
like, shit, as soon as the camera went on, as I was shaking, you know what I mean? I couldn't think what.
yeah,
But it's like, you know, not only, you know, are you working in co-creation, but you're given what you need. It clears away, you know, the
what you don't need.
obstacles, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah,
okay, we can use the breath to almost flush the system out. It's like, okay, these past traumas, these patterns, they've kept us safe for a while, but do we really need them for where we're going now?
yeah,
Or
yeah,
you know, is there something else that's ready to flow in? And you know,
yeah,
you know, I've even Benedict, who runs Breathing Space, you know, he says he was just floating around as a teacher, traveling for like years, and then he was given this mission to form Breathing Space, which is like, and now it's like in the past 3 years,
mm.
it's now in every continent on the country that it's been translated into 3 languages, and it's just and he's a bit like, you know, but it was a part of a mission that's bigger than ourselves. We've just got to
Yeah,
do our
yeah,
part of it. And I knew part of, and I was told very early, part of stepping up was to be visible, you know, because it's like
yeah,
knowing that actually, you know, I'm not like, you know, usual like spiritual people. You know, I'm not from a middle class background. I'm from up north, you know, a very,
yeah,
I'm single mom, but that
yeah.
speaks to different, you know, I don't do
It
yoga.
try, you know,
It just speak to a different group of people, and you know,
yeah,
engages a, you know, a different group of people. And
and
yes,
that's great because there'll be people out there who won't necessarily be drawn towards different spiritual practitioners like you've just described, and the kind of authentic way of you being and not holding back on who you are as an individual is what people can feel. Actually Shakti Tracy's making herself vulnerable, she's just herself, and that's what attracts. When we share each other's stories, that's when we attract towards each other. There's no pretense there, is there?
yeah, no, and I'm always messing up, you know what I mean? I sent 3 million a day with the wrong link on, you know what I mean? And like forgetting words, and I'm always getting, well, we got the tech wrong yesterday, didn't we? And, you know,
Oh
but that's
yeah, yeah.
like normal. And I think the thing is that thing as well. It's like we don't have to be like, you know, totally perfect to be standing up, but and sharing
No,
love in the world.
no.
You know, we can be human. We can be like, oh yeah, you know, I messed up. I'm not like, I haven't got all the answers on how to run a perfect relationship. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, yeah.
it's
We're all on the journey
that's we're
still.
all just on that journey together, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, what happens if we all just got together with the shared resonance of wanting to change these things, you know, like
Mm,
actually all just we're here to try our best to do things differently, you know, we're here
yeah,
to try to work out how can we be fully in our power and be safe and to make a positive impact, you know, and to not be
yeah,
scared, you know, from being, you know, all the things. It's like actually how can we gather together to
yeah,
because you know why I love working with groups, because there's a magic that happens in that container when people
yeah,
get
yeah.
that cannot be done alone. You create that resonance energy that's just like phew,
It's huge. It just it vibrates
uh,
massively, doesn't it?
and that's the
And
thing, just dropping love bombs, you know what I mean? It's like really
yeah,
true love. It's like we're creating a prayer, a resonant frequency on the planet that's just gonna, you know, that you know, if we're gonna leave something behind, let we leave like as much love as possible, you know what I mean? Let
oh gosh, because it's felt, it's energetically exchanged. And this is the thing. It's like it's the trying aspect, like you said. It's just trying from the beginning. Just try. It doesn't have to be full on straight away. Little steps, just trying with the breath work, trying just whatever's comfortable for you, but then pushing yourself and knowing that actually there is a bigger version of you and you're going to work towards it, and it's okay however long that takes, but going forward with it, certainly, because
I
otherwise we stagnate, don't we? And we don't expand. And
I remember
yeah,
someone telling me a long time ago, like even if you know, if you know, even if you're taking baby steps in the right direction,
yeah,
well, right direction for you, you know, like that's still like massive, you know. And I've always kept that in mind. 'Cause
yeah,
some
yeah,
days
yeah,
you can only take baby steps, you know, and it's some days where it is just like the most important thing you can do is just like stay in bed. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
still, it's like actually I'm listening to what I need at that time, you know. And if I was just,
Yeah.
if there's
Yeah.
one thing to change, just actually just at any time, just knowing that we can plug into the breath, that we can slow. The fastest way to slow down our nervous system is just to slow down our breath, you know. And I was just,
Yeah.
if we want to feed love into the you know, into the collective, just slow down, take a few moments and breathe
Yeah.
love,
And
breathe love, you know. And we can do that, you know, as often as we want through the day, and we're breathing love inside our being, and we're
mm,
connecting to our heart, and we're breathing that out into the world, you know. And like if everyone,
yeah, it's just gorgeous. It is such a gorgeous place to be, isn't it? It's like you, and it's always there, you know, it's always there, that stillness, that being. We are human beings, and that element of us is not going away. So definitely to tune into it more often, for sure. And are we going to do some breath work now? Are you going to do some shamanic drumming?
I thought we'll do some shamanic drumming.
Yeah.
Let's think what we'll do. I think we'll do, you know what it is. Let's do one that we can, you know, a shadow one, but let's look at how brilliant we are. Let's do a nice positive one for the day. Let's do a shamanic journey
Yeah.
to
Sounds good.
just to see, you know, the beautiful parts of ourselves that we mightn't be acknowledging.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if anyone hasn't done a shamanic journey before, we're going to I drum for about 10 minutes, and it can be really
Yeah.
nice to you can either do it sitting up, or some people like to do it lying down because you kind of go into that like semi-dream state. Um
Yeah.
and so what we're doing is we're sort of accessing the creative part of our mind. So sometimes you can be thinking, am I just making this up? Like, don't worry if
Yeah.
you are, you're not, because we're creating everything. We're always constantly creating it. Just allow ourselves to
Yeah.
follow what wants to come up. And so I'll start with a visualization. And for this one, we're going to do a
Okay.
to the upper world. Yeah, where we're going to meet a guide or God who usually be in human form. So it might be an angel, it might be someone who you know from the telly, it might be someone from your own life,
Okay.
or it might be a god. So when I start drumming, you just got to imagine like a way of going up to the upper world. And
Yeah.
I see it as like a land of clouds, a land of crystal kingdom, and just knowing that your God's there. You might see your God, or you might, you know, might just go straight in the journey. But
Yeah.
we're going in and with shamanic journey, and what we do, we're going like trackers. So we're going to get information that we can
Mm,
bring back to this world to make a difference in this.
okay.
That's with all my practices of breath work and everything. We'll go, we'll have these amazing all other experiences, but we also want to be making a difference in this world as well. And that's the full point. So we've got guides
Yeah. Yeah.
who
Yeah.
are there to help us. And so what we're going to be asking the gods for is to, you know, to shine a light in on us, to show us our brilliance, you know,
Yeah.
show us our brilliance and the bits of ourselves that we mightn't fully acknowledge.
Yeah. That sounds good.
And
Sounds very good.
so if you
Yeah.
find like your mind's drifting or anything, or you want to check Facebook or whatever, just like, oh no, I'm here, and just return to that question. So we're kind of training the mind to keep coming back to that
Yeah.
question. And so, and don't worry as well, if nothing comes up in it, the most important
Mm,
part is that we're actually asking the question. And sometimes the answer doesn't come in the actual journey itself. Sometimes it
okay.
comes afterwards. We're walking down the street and we're like, oh, and it's starting to be relieved, because the gods will be like trying the best to get through, but sometimes because our mind can be a bit
Yeah. Yeah.
takes us
Yeah.
straight in there, and they're like, oh, I saw this and this. But as adults, we're kind of told not to trust this as much, so it can take a little bit of time. But sometimes it will come afterwards. You might see adverts, or you might get a sense of knowing, or you might get in your
It'll
dreams.
come at the right time, won't it? Yeah.
And as well, different people get answers in different ways. Some people are very visual. Some people just get they might get in words, or hear
Mm,
things, or you might just like get senses of things
yeah.
that don't make any sense. So it can be good to have a pen and paper ready afterwards to make notes. Um, but some people as well just get a knowing. It's just like, all right, I know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
get answers that you want straight away. So you see what's there. It's just a space to play. Don't put any pressure. Like you have to have it a certain way.
Wonderful. Lovely.
So
Great.
I'll drum for about 10 minutes, and then I'll
Okay.
change the drum beat before we're back. So just a reminder, we're going to travel up to the upper world, where we're going to meet a guide in human form, and we're going to find out, we're going to shine a light on our brilliance and all the parts of
Sounds
us,
good. Sounds
brilliant
good.
parts of ourselves to the front of the room.
Yeah. Great.
ask if there's any gift that's going to help you to stay in touch with your own brilliance. And if there is, just receiving that gift in whatever way feels right. So just taking some breaths, connecting to everything you were shown, and in your own time, coming back to the space in the room. And if you are watching on the recording, you're totally welcome to pop in the chat box anything that might have came up for you in the journey. It's always lovely to hear. Did anything come up for you, Nick?
Oh, that was gorgeous. Yeah, that was just the, again, simplicity of, do you know what, that gift to remind myself that I do have that brilliance within me. All I need to do is just to take the moment just to smile to myself. You know, it's so simple, but you know, when you're on like the method, because I've got a lot of work on, but just to take a step back and every now and then just, you know what, you're doing all right. You know, and that's what I need to give to myself more often.
How beautiful. So
Yeah.
you own the power of smile and self.
Yeah. Yay.
Well, I also want to remember, like, one of my biggest brilliances is how gentle I am with my kids. And I've never really considered that. And they're like teenagers now, but we're all
Yeah.
really peaceful and gentle, all just really chilled, But
Yeah. Oh, great. Yeah, I'm sure.
let them get on with their own thing, and I think, oh, am I doing enough? And all the other things that you think, and
Yeah.
it's like it's when you give them that space, and like you're just really gentle with them. So that's really lovely, lovely.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Oh, what lovely. Thank you so much for that, Tracy. Thank you. Yeah, feeling good now. Feeling good. Ready, ready to get going.
It's on so many levels. Like, it changes
Mm,
brain patterns, it relaxes us, it boosts us up. So it's like, and it's been part of our culture for like, for forever, So it's like really tapping into that power and actually coming back.
that's it.
So like, yeah, what we should all, and
Yeah.
actually, well, we should all start the day like doing some drumming, really, shouldn't we?
Oh, yeah, gosh. That'd be brilliant.
Oh, well on the retreat. Oh, well on the retreat.
Oh, gosh, yeah. I'll be several times a day. Brilliant. Oh, well, thank you so much for speaking to us. That's lovely. Thank you. Yeah, what we'll do, I think what would be great as well, if you put a link in under the comments for any workshops coming up, like the weekend retreat or any online workshops you're doing, and then people will know how to contact you. That'd be really good. But yeah, it's just so gorgeous to speak to you. So thank you so much.
You as well, Nick. Really lovely, and I'm pleased I'm pleased we did it today as well, because then I had all the extra time for the actually have a lot to talk about. Needed to be said, didn't we? So.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Do it another time as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Oh, well, have a gorgeous day.
Should we take some breaths together to end? So
Oh,
take
yeah.
breaths
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll just allow ourselves to land in our body. Maybe put a hand on our heart. And
Yeah.
let's just take some breaths together. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you.
That was a
Thank
great
you.
way to end it.
Have a gorgeous day.
You too.
All right. Thank you, Tracy. Bye for now.